Interlaken does not announce itself. It reveals itself slowly, like a frame that gradually adjusts until it finds the exact point. Between two motionless lakes, the village rests in a narrow valley, watched over by mountains that do not seem to move, only to observe. The first impact is not scale, but precision. Everything appears placed with intention: the line of the water, the weight of the rocks, the exact space between sky and earth. The light arrives filtered. It does not fall all at once. It slides down the slopes, touches the meadows, reflects on the lakes as if testing each surface before settling. The green does not shout. The blue does not dominate. The colors coexist in silence, balanced, restrained. There is a strange sense of natural order, as if the landscape had been adjusted countless times until reaching this final state. Nothing feels excessive, nothing is missing. The eye searches for flaws, discontinuities, signs of improvisation, and finds none. The mountains form a clear boundary. The valley accepts this boundary. The water respects both. It is this silent agreement that creates the feeling of unreality. Interlaken does not seem like a place that was discovered. It feels like a place that was completed, as if nature had decided to stop there and say, now it is enough. In Interlaken, scale does not intimidate, it welcomes. The mountains are immense, yet never overwhelming. They rise like distant walls, creating a natural enclosure where the eye can rest. The valley is narrow enough to contain, wide enough to breathe. Nothing intrudes, nothing spills over. There is a rare sense of correct measure. The lakes function as visual pauses, flat surfaces between vertical volumes. They slow the gaze, return the sky as reflection, dissolve the boundary between above and below. Water here is not movement, it is balance, an element that stabilizes everything around it. The central meadow acts like a silence in the middle of a sentence, an open space that allows the mountains to exist without competing for attention. It is there that scale reveals itself as human. Walking through this space allows the body to find its own size within the landscape. Small, but not insignificant. This harmony does not come from perfect symmetry, but from an acceptance of proportions. Each element knows its role. The mountains do not advance, the valley does not resist, the water does not overflow. The result is a landscape that feels as though it has been rehearsed for centuries until it reached this exact form. That is why everything seems to be in the right place, because nothing tries to be larger than it is. Interlaken exists because the land decided to make room. Between Lake Thun and Lake Brienz, the landscape pulls back for a moment, creating a natural corridor where the water slows and the terrain settles. It is not a high point, nor a hidden refuge. It is a passage, an interval between greater forces. The surrounding mountains are not merely scenery, they are structure. They channel winds, control the light, define the limits of the valley. The climate is born from this precise fit. Clouds arrive, pause, move on. Rain knows where to fall. Snow knows when to remain. Everything responds to the shape of the land. The lakes, ancient and deep, function as the region's liquid memory. They store the cold, reflect the sky, soften the extremes. They are what allow life here to be continuous, even when surrounded by heights that suggest isolation. Water connects what rock separates. Interlaken was not chosen, it was allowed. It emerges where natural paths cross: water, valley, mountain. A place that does not impose its presence, but accepts what passes through it. That is why it exists exactly there, and could hardly exist anywhere else. What makes Interlaken feel so unreal is not the grandeur of the mountains or the beauty of the lakes, but the details that go unnoticed, invisible at first glance. It is as if nature had taken the trouble to align every element in such a way that mistakes became impossible. Shadows fall in a calculated manner, as though an invisible hand had adjusted the intensity of the light to create the perfect effect. The vegetation, with its subtle tonal variations, is not random. It grows where the soil allows, where the moisture is just right, where the sun arrives in exact measure. Every tree, every blade of grass is like a piece in a carefully painted canvas. The rivers that feed the lakes follow their course without haste, without agitation, as if they already knew the way. The wind that moves between the mountains is not random either. It follows the currents shaped by the peaks, winding through the valleys with an almost orchestral precision. These invisible details build the sense of unreality, creating a setting where time itself seems to move according to a larger plan. Perfection lies not only in what is visible, but in the infinite small natural adjustments that make this place feel almost impossible to be real, as if Interlaken were a simulation designed to be exactly what we see. Behind the absolute calm, Interlaken is never still. What appears to be rest is, in fact, a system in continuous operation. Water moves beneath the smooth surface of the lakes. The mountains breathe in slow cycles, expanding and contracting with cold and heat. The valley absorbs everything without announcing effort. The visitor sees the surface, the perfect framing, the organized silence, but does not perceive the constant work that sustains this appearance. The meadows are maintained by the rhythm of the seasons, by snow that compresses the soil, by rain that rehydrates it. Nothing grows by chance. Nothing remains without negotiation with the climate. Invisible flows run through the place, air currents that shape the clear sky, underground waters that stabilize the terrain, natural routes that guided human movement long before they became paths. Interlaken does not resist nature. It adjusts to it continuously. This constant adaptation is what keeps the landscape intact, not as something frozen, but as something carefully balanced. What seems like perfection is, in truth, silent maintenance, a permanent agreement between forces that could easily break the harmony, but choose not to. Interlaken seems to have been created to be observed, but that is only the surface of the idea. The beauty here does not arise from an intention to please. It emerges as the result of choices imposed by the land, the climate, the need to coexist with clear limits. Nothing was designed to impress, and precisely because of that, it does. The valley does not try to hide its vulnerability. It accepts floods, prolonged cold, days when the sky remains closed. The mountains, in turn, do not offer constant protection. They impose shadow, avalanches, temporary isolation. The reality of the place is shaped by continuous adaptation, not absolute comfort. What is seen as perfection is, in fact, the portrait of a balance that was earned. Every open space exists because it needed to exist. Every structure respects the weight of snow, the direction of the wind, the instability of the ground. Aesthetics are born from functionality, not the other way around. It is in this contrast that the illusion dissolves. Interlaken is not a stage, it is a living system that has found a stable way to exist. The perfect appearance does not hide reality. It is the very consequence of living in constant dialogue with it. Interlaken does not dominate the surrounding landscape, nor does it impose itself as a center. Its role has always been different, that of an interval. Between peaks that demand effort and lakes that invite silence, the valley offers pause, a space where movement slows before moving on. The surrounding region is marked by extreme contrasts, altitude and depth, shadow and light, isolation and passage. Interlaken exists exactly in the middle of these forces. It functions as a point of transition, where paths cross without haste, where the body readjusts to the scale of the place. This silent function shapes its identity. It is neither a final destination nor an absolute beginning. It is a place of passage that ends up becoming permanence. Those who arrive feel they could stay. Those who leave carry with them a sense of balance, as if they had taken a deep breath between two efforts. In alpine logic, this is essential. The valley organizes human flow in the same way the lakes organize water. It absorbs, redistributes, calms. Interlaken supports the region not through protagonism, but through stability. It is in this discrete role that its strength resides, being the space where everything fits before rising again. Interlaken draws people in because it offers something rare: restraint. In a world accustomed to excess, the place proposes measure. Nothing here asks for urgency. Nothing demands immediate overcoming. The landscape does not challenge, it receives, within clear limits. Those who arrive do not encounter constant spectacle, but a sense of inner alignment. The body notices the slower rhythm, the denser silence, the more legible space. The mountains do not compete for attention. The lakes do not try to impress. Everything invites a brief stay, even if the passage is short. This attraction does not come from the promise of something new, but from the memory of something essential. A state in which nature and human presence are not in visible conflict, where grandeur does not exclude the everyday, where the gaze can rest without getting lost. Interlaken functions as a mirror of a universal desire, to be in a place that does not require choosing between beauty and stability. Here, both coexist. The world comes closer because it recognizes this harmony, even without being able to explain it. Perhaps that is what draws people from so far away. Not perfection, but the feeling that for a moment, everything seems sufficient. Interlaken seems perfect because it does not try to be more than it is. The landscape does not seek approval, nor does it adapt to an external gaze. It remains. Mountains remain mountains. Lakes continue reflecting what passes by. The valley accepts its role as an interval, a pause, a breath between greater forces. Perhaps the sense of unreality comes from this, from a place that does not rush, does not reinvent itself, does not explain itself. In a time when everything needs to be seen, understood, and consumed, Interlaken exists without asking for anything in return. It simply stays true to its own rhythm. What lingers is not the image, but the idea. That balance is not the absence of tension, but the silent coexistence of limits. That beauty can be a consequence, not a goal. That some places feel complete because they have learned how to stop. If this kind of landscape, contemplative, silent, honest, also resonates with you, this channel continues to explore villages, valleys, and places where the world still breathes at a slower pace. Subscribe to continue this journey. There are many other places like this waiting to be observed with calm.